So you've grown your small business and now you're looking to hire your first employee with success. This is an exciting time in your business, but hiring employees for the first time can be a really scary time as well, because not only do you now need to make money to feed yourself, but you're also now responsible for someone else, and you've got to spend time training and communicating with someone other than your office dog or cat. So in this masterclass video, I'm going to talk about how you can hire your first employee with the best chance of a successful outcome. We are going to discuss strategies on how to define the role, how to know that you can afford your new hire, how to find the right person, and we will also talk about new employee onboarding tips so that you have a great team member making a valuable contribution to your business. Let's start off by discussing how to determine what role you need to fill. I often ask business owners to think about all the activities they currently do in their business, or more importantly, should be doing, and all the tasks they actually want to be doing. Then we look at the amount of time needed for each. From that list, we can start to understand the tasks and activities that you no longer want to manage yourself, or areas that are not a strength of yours, and therefore we should hire someone to strengthen that part of your business. This gap analysis will give a real sense of the tasks and time needed in order to complete them. Generally, we find a natural role that comes from this work. We also tend to find out whether the role needs someone who is full-time in the business, part-time, or even casual. Sometimes this analysis can help us determine that we actually need two roles and that they might be even a contract or a part-time role. Now that you've worked out what you want someone to do, how can you know whether you can afford them? Often this is a critical point in the business growth, and the question isn't can you afford them, but can you afford not to have them? I have a caveat here, and this might seem counterintuitive. Most solopreneurs who are looking to scale up often hire the cheapest resource with the hopes to train them up. This can be a false economy. The sooner that you can offload your work so that you're focusing your energy where it's needed most in the business, the quicker your business will grow. More often than not, someone who is better skilled will cost you more, but at this critical phase of business, it more often than not has a better outcome of getting them up to speed quicker, and you will be able to bring more business in, service them better quicker. So do have a think about whether if you spent more money on a skilled employee, would you get more value from them more quickly? As I mentioned earlier, start off by thinking about the activities and whether the role requires someone full-time, part-time, or on a casual basis. At this point, I always suggest to clients that we need to get compliance ticked off, making sure that they understand minimum wage and entitlement requirements, superannuation, tax, and ensuring that employee agreements cover off all the necessary points to protect the organisation and set expectations. Once you've decided on a competitive package for your role, forecast your business revenue and expenses with a new employee on board and see what your new return on investment is likely to be. I always suggest to clients to be more pessimistic about the time it takes to onboard your new employee, and I'll talk about this onboarding more later in the video. In some cases, hiring your first employee might be tight in terms of your cash flow in the beginning. If you're more risk adverse, you may want to save a few months' worth of your new employee's salary to ensure you have enough to keep your business afloat while you're onboarding them. If you've done your numbers and don't think it's viable for your business right now, getting a contractor is a good option. Contractors come with a higher hourly rate, but you will bypass the additional costs that come with a full-time employee, and it gives you greater flexibility. So have a think about what works best. And this is always a good time to bounce all those thoughts going around in your head with someone else, like a HR consultant or business coach. So now you've got your role and you can afford them. How do you find the right person? I am a massive believer in culture first in hiring team members. I've got lots of videos on culture and values, and I strongly suggest before writing your job ad, you have a clear idea of the type of culture you want to foster in the business and the type of attitude you want your employee to bring to the role. Have a think about the values that are most important to you in the people you spend time with and within the business. Think about what you believe to be true and how you prefer to communicate. And really importantly, think about what is acceptable behaviour and what is completely unacceptable behaviour in your organisation. As you develop thinking around these things, think about how you can promote these qualities throughout the entire recruitment process to help you find a good fit to match those qualities and those values. I encourage small businesses to put personality in their job ad. If candidates are not attracted to the personality in your ad, they won't be a good match to your business, and you've saved them and yourself time by weeding them out before they even apply. Obviously, you should also include a breakdown of the job requirements in your ad. It sometimes pays to invite your prospective team member to complete a task or test before taking them to an interview or giving them an offer, as it can help to determine their attitude and skills in certain areas. For example, a client of mine was able to compare two candidates, one who was not a very detailed thinker compared to someone who was a very detailed thinker. I asked my client, what's most important to you in your business right now? He said, I need someone with details. That's the bit I'm not great at, and I need someone to balance me. Perfect. We knew who the better candidate was as a result. Once you've got to the interview process, I like to encourage behaviour-based questions like describe a situation when you were confronted with X. This tells you how your candidate might handle certain situations and what their behaviour style is. When choosing a candidate, remember to not only go off experience, but their potential. A candidate might have less experience in the area you're hiring in, but they might have a great attitude and have plenty of room for growth. Although, as I mentioned earlier, this might mean more work for you in the short term. Conduct multiple interviews if you can. It can be difficult to gauge how well someone might fit into your culture based on just one meeting. A final part of the hiring process is to ensure you check references. Referees help you to work out the character and experience of the person you're hiring far better than a piece of paper can. They can also help you to think about how the candidate likes to be managed and may highlight areas of contrast to how you operate. It can remove conflict before it even happens, so it's a really important part of the hiring process. Before you finalise agreements, you can always suggest a trial period or project, and I always say that people should pay for this. Someone might interview really well, but not be the best fit for the role once they get started. By testing them, you can see how well they handle tasks and whether their work is up to your standard. So you've hired, yay! So now, how do you onboard your new employee properly so you can get the best from them? Onboarding your employees properly reduces error rates. It increases the chances of them being able to take over tasks sooner and improves retention rates. So I implore you to take the time to do it properly. Develop a complete and thorough onboarding process from your business values and culture to systems and software. Your onboarding will include things like your business vision and goals, the values, expectations, standards, and etiquette. For example, what should they wear? Is it formal or casual? It should also go through the systems, a review of their position description, and their expectations for the role, as well as introductions to important stakeholders and clients. Other information like where they should park, a walkthrough of the amenities, etc. will go a long way in helping your new employee get adjusted and helping them feel like they are part of the team you are creating. Make sure you're prepared. I once started in a new role and I got put in a corner cupboard, literally. Then there wasn't a computer for the first 2 days. It wasn't a great first impression. Schedule their first day and ideally their first week. Be clear and concise with your information. Clarity will make your employee feel more confident about the organisation that they have walked into. It's unlikely that a new employee will be coming to you without some knowledge gaps. And so keep this in mind when determining the output you expect from them in the first few months. They will no doubt need training and mentoring along the way. So as you're going through, see where investment needs to be made to do this. I like to encourage my clients to define success so that they are able to track and measure whether their new hire is working at the expected level. As you go through a probationary period, revisit expectations, goals, and responsibilities, and check in with them often. Hiring your first employee is daunting for many small business owners, so imagine how it is for your employee. Your first employee is critical, and if they aren't a match, it's better to know and do something about it sooner than later. I had someone once tell me that it was a rule of threes. If after the first 3 days you've got questions, it's not a great start and you need to have moved them on within 3 weeks if they haven't improved. If you have concerns at 3 weeks, they should be rectified within 3 months, and if they haven't, then that's a good sign that you should end their tenure at the end of the 3-month period. Finally, remember recognition. Starting a new job can be really hard, and as your first employee, there's going to be a bit of pressure on them. Make sure you acknowledge your employees' work and give them a confidence boost. So in this masterclass, we have covered off on some key topics about how to hire your first employee, from deciding what they will do to how to decide whether they're doing it. This can be an exciting and uncertain time, and so if you'd like any support, please do reach out. I've got lots of resources to support how to make the best decision. You may also want to check out my video on hiring for values match, which also provides information about how to focus on those behavioural style questions. Good luck with your new team members.